So it only seemed like yesterday that the Honor 50 series was released. I made an in-depth review in October, and now within just a few months, the Honor 60 has been released. Only in China for now, but judging by past releases, this should be coming to international markets in the near future. And I have the Pro version of the 60 lineup right here, and we're going to do an unboxing and look around the phone, which here in mainland China costs around $550. So this I would say is definitely aimed for the mid-range market, with the 60 Pro borrowing some top specs from flagship models, which could potentially be good enough to convince a lot of people to pick one of these up. And without further ado, let's look at the main event, the Honor 60 Pro. The Honor 60 Pro comes in 4 colors, bright black, jade green, starry sky blue, and the one I have, Juliet, which is a two-tone, summery, Gucci gang, sparkly attention grabber of a device, and I think it looks quite cool. And depending on the light you're in, it will shine bright like a diamond and give the vibe of drinking a summer cocktail on the beach. There is a jewellery-inspired rose gold camera module sitting in the upper left corner, as well as the flash and the words AI Matrix camera emblazoned on the side. The back panel of the phone is made from what feels like glass, and the overall profile and feel of the phone in the hand is a pleasant one. It feels really secure. This for sure won't be slipping out of your hands. Quite thin also and comfortable, this Pro variant definitely has a higher build quality over the standard Honor 60. Moving to the front of the phone, the screen has a 90% screen to body ratio that is slightly curved. I would give it a medium curved rating, and there is also a hole punch camera centered in the middle of the display. It's a 6.7 inch screen, so on the larger side, but because of its dimensions it actually feels quite easy to hold, and the display panel itself looks absolutely great and sits in between Full HD and Quad HD, and it's also packed with a super smooth 120Hz display, which out of the box is set to dynamic, so it will ramp down on content that doesn't require a high refresh rate, or you can just turn it on to full 120Hz all the time no matter what. The camera module is packed with 3 lenses, a 108 megapixel main sensor, 50 megapixel ultra-wide / macro camera, and a tiny sensor in the middle as an independent depth of field sensor. Photos from the main sensor can be shot in full 108 megapixels if you want lots of detail when you enlarge your photos, but binning it down to 12 megapixels will get you a much more pleasant looking shot. Although here side by side you can see the level of detail blown up between the two models. In general, the main sensor takes great images in good lighting, with lots of punch in color science, although sometimes the shots can come out a little soft because of the lack of optical image stabilization, and the phone tries to compensate this by applying sharpening to the images a few seconds after you take the shot, which sometimes helps and sometimes it ends up just looking a little bit, well, too sharp. But if you're viewing this on a phone and not on a computer, they will still look really good for posting on social media. As we push towards lower light, there is quite a bit of drop off in quality, but luckily the night mode has enough juice to bring these situations back to life by reducing the highlights to retain detail and merging all of those pictures back together to retain focus. And in most cases this works really well, and it also works on the 2x zoom, although remember this is just a digital zoom, there is no optical zoom on this phone, and in the daytime results are okay for a shot that is literally being cropped in, although I definitely would not rely on this for getting close-up shots. Then there is the ultra-wide, which is 50 megapixels and does need good lighting to take sharp looking images. Even up here on the roof there was a little drop off in quality as soon as I got into more shadowy areas, but if there is good lighting conditions then the ultra-wide can pull off some nice shots. However, low light or nighttime shots are best left to the main sensor, as the ultra-wide has neither stabilization nor night mode. The ultra-wide also doubles as a macro lens if you want to get close up, and there is also an aperture lens for some bokeh action that is fine. The selfie camera is a super high resolution 50 megapixel ultra-wide and automatically jumps to portrait mode over the normal selfie mode. In normal selfie mode you have the ultra-wide, normal and close-up angles, and they all pick up a decent amount of detail, although there is a bit of smoothing and beautification going on even though I have turned beauty mode off. So there is actually 4K shooting for the selfie camera, which is good. It only goes up to 30 frames a second, but I'm pretty happy that it can shoot in this resolution, and this is what it looks like when I'm walking along, and you can also hear the sound of my voice and how the microphone sounds. So now dropping it down to 1080p at 60 frames a second if you want slightly smoother footage. And there is actually a few options for the angle of the camera, so we're on wide. So that's punched into 0.8, I believe, and then finally you can crop all the way in if you want a nice close-up. The Honor 60 Pro on its main sensor can shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second with electronic image stabilization assistance and looks pretty crispy with nice colors, and can also shoot up to 60 frames a second in the 1080p mode, and there is obviously a slight exposure drop-off. You can also shoot 4K 30fps using the Ultrawide sensor, which is a really nice option if you want to fit a bit more into the frame. The phone I have comes with the 256GB plus 12GB of RAM plus 2GB of added smart RAM borrowed from the storage. The 60 Pro manages the RAM well. I opened Call of Duty Mobile 2 hours later and it was still running in the background, which was cool. Powering the phone is the Snapdragon 778G Plus, which runs this device nice and smooth. Gaming on Call of Duty on the highest settings was a breeze, the screen looked great, and although there was an increase in temperature, it was not uncomfortable at all. I also turned up the settings on PUBG and again, no problem, although I couldn't get the frame rate counter to work on this phone, but by my own eye it was running at around 60 FPS. There is also a gaming mode which brings in features such as game acceleration for better graphics performance, network optimizations, and floating chat windows. I also tried out Genshin Impact, which is probably the most graphically demanding game out there, turned on all the highest settings, and surprisingly it ran okay. And it actually ran a little bit better than the OnePlus 10 Pro when I played using that. Looking around the rest of the phone, we have dual stereo speakers on the top and bottom, with a USB-C and dual SIM card tray. On the right hand side we have the power button and all-in-one volume rocker, and on the left hand side there's nothing at all. Front and center we have an optical fingerprint sensor, which is fine, although a little small for my liking, and there is also 2D face unlock. We also have 66 watt fast charging that gets the phone from 0 to 100% in around 45 minutes, and it's filling up a massive 4800 mAh battery that will be more than enough for most people to get through the day. Running the 60 Pro is Magic OS on top of Android 11. It's a stable, fluid system, not the most exciting out there. We have an okay selection of customization options for you to flick through, including plenty of always-on display options where you can really get down into the details and customize how your lock screen looks. There's also a handy pull-out bar that gives you a little bit of multitasking action with floating windows, which I really like, as well as something I spotted in the pull-down menu, which is the AI caption feature, which I think is a nice little touch. It works in several languages, and although it's not perfect, it certainly might come in handy.
I always liked the original cut of Hound Dog by Big Mama Thornton more than the one by Elvis. But whose song is it when versions abound? The original author? The artist?
So overall, the Honor 60 Pro is a solid mid-ranger. It hasn't got the fanciest of hardware or mind-blowing cameras, but what it does seem to have is reliability, with its powerful chipset, excellent RAM management and operating system, style with its unique design and eye-catching colors, and the cherry on top, a fantastic OLED 120Hz screen, large battery and quick charging ability. And it's not the only phone recently put out by Honor. The new Honor X30 is in my pocket, so subscribe and turn on notifications so you can catch my review on that, and help me out by smashing that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.